Georgia, Alabama. Sports Live will be your go-to for all your favorite high school and collegiate games this fall. From the Carver Tigers to the Columbus Blue Devils, the Harris County Tigers and Northside Patriots, the Glenwood Gators and Calvary Christian Knights, the Pacelli Vikings and Brookstone Cougars, to the Smith Station Panthers and Russell County Warriors, from CVCC Pirates basketball and baseball and every tournament from here to Macon. We are the #1 destination for anything happening in East Alabama and West Central Georgia. Be sure to like and follow us on YouTube and Facebook, and stay tuned for even more amazing ways we will be bringing Georgia, Alabama Sports Live to you this upcoming season. We can't wait to come see you next. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to a virtual edition of the High School Game Day on Georgia, Alabama Sports Live. I'm Thrift Barringer. Richard Holdridge is another location, and it's playoff edition of High School Game Day, Richard.
I'm feeling good about this, Thrift. I think that we're going to have a great show. A lot of incredible matchups, not only in Alabama, but also in Georgia.
Yes, you're exactly right about that, Richard. And we didn't have a location to go live at. We thought about maybe doing an Otis Spencer, but we decided, we're going to keep it virtual. There's so many games we're going to be trying to cover, and we will have, I promise you, a High School Game Day live on location for any of the teams that make deep runs into the playoffs. So let's go ahead and kind of update what's happening. Glenwood is out. Pacelli is also out. They both lost last week. Pacelli on the road to Bullock Academy, the #2 seed in the GIAA 4A classification, 37-0. Glenwood upset by #4 seed Alabama Christian, 46-42, in a great classic game. Mike Peacock was on the call as we broadcasted for the NFHS network, Richard. And then Central won, Opelika won, Auburn won, and Russell County won, all in Alabama. The rest of the Georgia public schools, they had a bye last week. So now they play their first playoff game this week. Richard, what are you looking forward to seeing before we get into the playoff matchups coming up this week? Week 1, this is first round for Georgia public schools. Semifinals in the GIAA for Brookstone, who's still alive. They won last week. And then for the Alabama schools, they're in the second round.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing if these local schools can actually win a playoff game on the road. Right now, we only have 2 of the schools that we cover that are having home games. That is Central and Carver. Spencer, Harris County, Shaw, they are all on the road. Russell County, we've got Auburn hosting the game. They're kind of out of our area, but we're pulling for them. Opelika is on the road. I'm just really interested to see. We know that Carver is the favorite. They're expected to host many playoff games in the next couple of weeks. Can Spencer get a big road victory? Can Harris County get a big road victory? Shaw is actually playing up in Atlanta. I mean, it's going to be a very tough opponent as they're taking on Carver of Atlanta, but can Shaw get a big victory? I'm looking forward just to seeing all these playoff actions, second round games in Alabama, and, of course, the first round matchups in Georgia because they had a bye last week. But I think these teams are ready to go.
I think they are too, and we're going to be previewing all the matchups, Richard, this upcoming week. By the way, no game. We will not be able to live stream any games. So NFHS Network has the rights to Carver, so we will not be able to do Carver games. And obviously in Alabama, you're not allowed to stream any playoff games. They are solely NFHS Network. And we would have tried to do Brookstone if Pacelli had won last week and Brookstone hosted a playoff game, but they're on the road and they're heading to Statesboro about 3.5 hours away. So we're able to make that drive in a semifinal, which we will talk about here in just a moment. We have no games tomorrow. And then on Sunday, we have, of course, our Georgia Alabama Sports Live show that we do, recapping what just happened tonight. dropping our new rankings and previewing who all is moving on in the playoffs. And then we got a great slate of games next week. Flag Football Region Championship on Monday, Richard. We got basketball games galore. And then, of course, our show that we do. And we have the privilege, too, to be in the voices of the GIAA. We will be in Statesboro Thursday, Friday, and Saturday calling state championship games, Richard, next week. So me, you will be out of town. It's looking like Rick Beach also and Chris Gates, but just looking forward to doing that.
Yeah, looking forward to calling the GIAA championships with you, Thrift. And I'm just looking forward to seeing what we got on the slate. And based on where we are and what teams are in it, I mean, we might end up having a high school game day right there on Friday, especially if we still have some teams in this area that are still in the playoffs. But I'm excited to see this high school football season wind down, but we want to see our local teams play in December. That is the goal. And who knows? I think Carver could possibly host a semifinal game December the 6th. But we'll go into the matchups. I mean, there is a possible chance that they could face Callaway in the semifinals, and we'll see how the other teams do as well.
Exactly right, Richard. We are presented by Gordy Eye Care, the official eye care of Georgia Alabama Sports Live, CVCC, Glenn Smith Chevrolet, GMC, Zaxby's, and of course, Pepsi. All right, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a quick break, and when we come back from break, we are going to go ahead and start promoting these games, and we're gonna have a special guest live on location from Creekside who will be covering the game, and we have a special presentation. We'll talk about that in a moment. Rick Beach will be joining us. So, Richard, you'll send that link here right after this break here on High School Game Day, Georgia Alabama Sports Live.
Introducing Gatorade Water. Alkaline and electrolyte infused for great taste. Gatorade Water, always in motion.
Football is back, and the only thing that makes it better is some delicious food from Zaxby's. They're a proud sponsor of Georgia Alabama Sports Live. And I can tell you that everyone on this team loves their chicken. Get all the favorites, such as their signature chicken sandwich, or try the new chicken finger tacos with your favorite drink. From amazing salads, wings, chicken fingers, and some of the best drinks around, there isn't a better way to enjoy our broadcast without getting some fantastic meals from Zaxby's. Check out the two here in Phoenix City, one off Crawford Road and the other on US 80. Thank you again to Zaxby's for sponsoring Georgia Alabama Sports Live, and make sure you call them for all your catering and tailgating needs this football season. Welcome back, everyone, to High School Game Day Live. And virtually, Richard's up in Atlanta. I'm live here on Boots on the Ground in Columbus, and we're going to have on in just a little bit Rick Beach live from Creekside, and we're going to tell you what we're doing. We're going to do something special. Since we can't stream the games, we got a new way of still being able to cover the games and give you the coverage and exposure to know what's going on in high school athletics and playoff games here in the near future. But we're trying something out new tonight. We'll have him on here in just a little bit. But Richard, let's go ahead and get into it. Let's throw up the games. First one is the one you actually near, Shaw and Carver Atlanta, who comes in 7-3, a number one seed. I mean, one of the top seeds. Shaw able to get into the playoffs this year, 5-5. Great season. Led by Aaron Grant. He is, I'm telling you, next year, his senior year, he's going to be one of my favorites as one of the best quarterbacks in our area. Shaw finishing 500, got that big win over Hardaway. That really was like I guess you could say, really put Shaw in the playoffs. So when we did that game about 2 months ago, lo and behold, did we not know that game, we said it then, but it turned into winner made the playoff, because if Hardaway would have won that, Shaw would have been out. Hardaway would have been in, and we don't want to get into the fact that Hardaway should have been in the playoffs, especially over who Carver's playing 3-7 Terrell, but that's neither here nor there. Shaw is in What do you think they need to do to be able to upset Carver Atlanta?
They need to play physical, solid defense. They got to run the football with Jamar Williams, Aaron Grant, which is a good dual threat quarterback. Carver Atlanta is one of the top teams in 2A. And yes, I am actually in Atlanta for work. I was actually entertaining the idea of possibly going to this game, but it's down in the Lakewood Stadium near South Atlanta. That's where all the public schools in Metro Atlanta play football. This is going to be a tough matchup for the Shaw Raiders. I think Carver is a very talented team. I mean, they beat LaGrange last year. I mean, they are just one of the best teams in 2A, and I think that Shaw got a tough draw. But I think that anything could happen, and let's hope that Shaw can surprise some people and get an upset win.
Yeah, so their 3 losses this year are to Decatur, Luella, that had to be rescheduled 15-12. They are a really good team. And this team is one of the top teams in 2A, as you made mention. And they're expected to make a deep run. Carver Atlanta is always an excellent team, Richard. You know this. Looking at the Max Prep standings in the 5A classification, I am seeing them ranked right up there in the top 15, top 10. So it's going to be a tough one, but I'm with you. For a team like Carver Atlanta that can get out, they're fast, they got great athletes, and they like scoring a lot of points. If Shaw can keep this low scoring, keep the ball to the hands of the Carver Atlanta offense, and do that ground and pound, keep long possessions, at least they got to win time of possession, obviously. You cannot make any mistakes, you got to be mistake-free, and they're going to have to play their best game they probably played all year long. I'm going to lean Carver Atlanta. I think this is going to be a big hill to climb for Shaw, but I'm cheering for Shaw. But even if they do lose, I like Shaw next year. They've improved by 1 win over last year's record. Richard 4-6, making the playoffs this year 5-5. I just feel like they're going to come up short against Carver Atlanta. Give me Carver Atlanta with the win. What do you got, Richard?
I got Carver Atlanta for the win as well. This is just too much of a challenge for the Shaw Raiders. Carver Atlanta is deep, and they are one of the top teams in 2A for a reason. And they've got the home crowd behind them. I mean, we know that there are a lot of talent in those public schools in Metro Atlanta. I mean, when you think about Carver Atlanta, I mean, you think about Mays. I mean, you think about I'm thinking Farrell is another one. George Washington, Booker T. Washington, another public school in Atlanta, North Atlanta. All these schools, they play big-time football. Right there in Lakewood Stadium, it's a big stadium, huge home field advantage for Carver Atlanta.
Yeah, so moving on, Shaw, we both are picking the upset, but we're cheering for them, and that game starts at 7:30. We'll have a scoreboard show on Sunday recapping all these games. Richard, we always put out a recap of the scores on Saturday morning, so if you don't know who won, we will try to get you that information as soon as possible. All right, let's keep going, Richard. Next, Spencer on the road at Westside, which didn't make much sense to me. And I feel like there's a lot of disrespect, including Carver not being the number 1 team, and when they did the seedings in the GHSA. I don't know how Hardaway didn't get in, and I don't know how Spencer is not hosting a game. I think this is going to be extra motivation for Coach Kegler's team. Fudge has done a fabulous job this year. He's gotten better each and every week. I saw him. That was his first interception when I was calling that Hardaway game back on Halloween night. He had gone mistake-free for weeks, Richard. I think that this team, and I know they're having to overcome, a couple losses at the running back position. I think they're going to win this game, and I think they're going to win by 31-24. I think Coach Kegler's team is going to make a deep run. I think they're going to get at least 2 playoff wins. I really believe in this team. I think the defense is where it starts. CJ Starr and this defense is absolutely lights out. They, aside for a few games, even against Carver, they only gave up 17, Richard. Against Sumter County, they only gave up 15. And then Lovett was the one game which they, again, struggled, but Lovett's a really good program. Give me the Green Waves over Westside, and I know you agree with me on the disrespect. How are they not hosting this game?
Yeah, Spencer is going to win this game on the road. I think that you're right. Elijah Fudge has picked up where Gary Gaither left off. He was a 3-year starter. Elijah Fudge is the leading passer in the Tri-City area as far as Columbus schools, with as far as passing yardage goes. He actually is tops in Georgia as far as all the schools in the area.
Richard,
for
by
Georgia.
the way, you gotta say this too, Richard. That's 3 straight years that Coach Kegler's had a quarterback that has been the top passer in Muskogee County. Again, you got to give credit where credit's due. He is obviously, we got to start putting him in that category of quarterback guru, Richard.
I absolutely agree. DeMarcus Horn, good receiver. They're a little they don't have much depth at the running back position because of the injuries that they face. They're down to like their 3rd string running back. But CJ Starr is just an electric defensive player that had over 150 tackles this season. I like Spencer with the road victory. And it gets a little tougher. If Spencer can get past Westside, they may have to face Rockmart, which is a very talented team in the 2nd round.
We're going to have on Rick Beach live on location here in about 5 minutes, but we're going to preview a few more games before we get to that. Next up on the site, so we both are picking Spencer. We both picked Carver Atlanta to upset Shaw. Moving on, Richard. And the next game that is going to be, we know, are happening in the playoff area, obviously staying in Muskogee County. 3 Columbus schools, Shaw, Spencer, and Carver, all in the playoffs. They got beat, Richard, by Carver Atlanta 42-0. I would have loved to see Hardaway Carver again, but obviously that's just me. I'm home cooking. I think that this game is going to be over with at halftime. I think the Carver Tigers are the best team in 2A, and I don't think they're going to have really much of an issue with teams until the 3rd, 4th round. Give me them with a big win. I don't even care about previewing it because that defense, dark side, Justin Newman, I don't even think they give up a touchdown. That defense has been so lights out. Farrell's in for a rude awakening. Kobe Castlin, an athlete that's been fantastic this year. We already know about Braylon Jakes, Richard, the running back position that I cannot believe I'm forgetting his name. The incredible running back.
Kelston Popcorn Tarver.
Thank you. I knew I was going to forget someone's name, but Kelston Popcorn Tarver. And then Matthew Mungan has gotten better each and every week. Give me Carver with a big-time win over Terrell.
I don't understand how Farrell got into the playoffs at 3-7. I mean, the math ain't mathin'. Hardaway was 4-6, and there's some of their losses with Carver and Sumter County. I think Sumter County continuing to win out just was more impressive. That I just don't understand it. But hey, it is what it is. Carver is going to roll. They'll play the winner of Ringgold and Hart County. I think Ringgold advances, so give me Carver in the 2nd round as well. Possibly a quarterfinal matchup. Could see Columbia. I think they're the top team.
I think we're all waiting on that Callaway matchup, Richard. I think that's what we're all circling.
The Callaway matchup is what we all want to see in the semifinals. December 6th. I almost can guarantee you, Thrift. I don't know about you. I know the NFHS Network's got that game, but we'll definitely try to be there for a pregame, halftime.
We'll be live on location.
Game day.
Yeah, definitely going to have live on location for that, Richard. I completely agree with you. But we both are picking Carver in a dominant win. All right, let's go ahead and bring him on because he's got something. He's going to be busy, and we're proud and we're excited that we can have him live on location. His name is Rick Beach, and let's see if he can hear us. Rick?
Rick, you there?
Yeah, man. I was digging it, man. That blue suit was rocking.
All right, let's take Rick off for a second. He's probably going to come on here in about 2 minutes. I did tell him at 6:30, but he's live on location as he's sitting there talking.
Here we go.
Okay, let's bring him back on. All right, there he is, live on location. He's even got his microphone. Rick Beach, what up, man?
What up, man? Doing all right?
Yeah, doing excited, man. All right, floor is yours. Kind of explain to our viewing audience what's happening tonight. We won't be able to stream it, unfortunately, but we're live on location. We're doing something pretty interesting. Go ahead and tell them.
Yeah, so tonight we're going to try to do 3 separate little streams. It ain't going to be live of the game. It's going to be live pregame, halftime, and a postgame show, letting people know what's going on up here in Fairburn. You know, Harris County's got a draw with the defending runner-up state champions last year. They lost to Coffee County in the state championship. Creekside They're a good school. They went to South Carolina to play the number 2 team out of South Carolina. They went out to Texas. They've given up 25 points in the last 7 games. They're tough defense, but, County's got some confidence. A few weeks off, got a lot of healthy bodies back. Notably, they got Tim Hudson and Ogletree's coming back. So, expectations getting a little up there after last year for Harris County. So looking for an upset win tonight.
Yeah, can't wait for it. And again, what time do you plan on doing your pregame show? And then you got the halftime show you're going to be doing, and then postgame, regardless of who wins, we're still going to give you live action there. What time is the pregame going to start?
Well, pregame's going to be just here at 6:45. We're going to get on here. We got the players coming on the field now, so they're going to get warmed up. We're going to try to then we can get situated for kickoff at 7:30. We'll try to shoot out a warning that halftime's coming up. Let everybody kind of get situated, get ready. We're going to shoot the halftime, 15, 20 minutes, try to take as much time as we can, explain what's going on up here, and hopefully, setting up a good conclusion and an upset victory for Harris County.
Yeah, we're definitely going to be cheering them on. And again, you can find this on Georgia Alabama Sports Live YouTube channel and on Facebook. Rick Beach, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to try to wrap up the rest of these games. 6:45, you can see Rick Beach live from Creekside. Appreciate it so much, man, and go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
All right, that is Rick Beach. Thank you so much from Rick Beach and him joining us live on location. And then look at that. Richard knows what he's doing. And we'll go ahead and start talking about this game. I didn't want to get his preview because I'm going to let him do it. And we all know he's picking Harris County. Creekside's a really good team, Richard. We saw them in the state championship last year. But if Harris County, now with Tim Hudson coming back, now with Rand Ogletree, we know about his offense. He hadn't even played the last 4 weeks of the regular season. And if we see the offense led by Trotter Teasley not making any mistakes, this defense led by D-Rock Brooks will keep them in the game. I'm picking an upset, man. I think it's going to be low scoring. Give me 21-17. County on top. We already saw 1-4 seed beat a number 1 seed last week in Vestavia Hills over Mary Montgomery. I know that's in Alabama, and that's schools that we don't even cover. I'm just saying that is a preview that it can happen here. It's going to be a daunting task. Creekside is obviously one of the teams that many people think can make a deep run this year after coming state runner-up last year. Give me Harris County with a win. Richard, what do you think?
Harris County is in the toughest region in 4A. Stars Mill, Central Carrollton, Jonesboro, Northside didn't even make the playoffs. It doesn't matter that Harris County is a number 4 seed. Harris County has proven that they have got a talented team. I know that Creekside is good, but Harris County, that physical defense led by their defensive coordinator, D-Rock Brooks, Trotter Teasley, as long as they don't make any mistakes, I think they keep it physical. It's a low-scoring game. Give me County in an upset over Creekside.
Yes, again, low scoring, no mistakes, defense, time of possession, kind of like what I said with Shaw. That's what they need to do with Creekside. Harris County, that team, they want to put up in the 30s, 40s. That's not their type of style. But if they keep this low scoring, mistake-free, sound football that we have seen from Coach Tommy Watts in the last 2 years, they definitely can pull off the upset. All right, let's keep going, Richard, so we can get ready for these games starting soon. Brookstone, big win last week over Stratford Academy. And they beat Stratford 33-28, but honestly wasn't as close as the score indicated. They were pretty much in control of that game throughout the entire game. It was the best offensive game called I've seen from almost anyone this year. The balance, Branch made no mistakes. He was great in the passing game. The two-headed monster of Dylan Terry and Gray Jones running attack. The offensive line just pushed and manhandled Stratford around, and the defense was able to come up with big plays there and led by Jakeith Tolbert and Mercer Hudson. I like Brookstone going in to Bullock and doing exactly what they did last year, which is maintaining elite offensive balance that we saw last week. And I think, to be honest with you, yes, Bullock dominated Pacelli. I think that was just kind of like an avalanche, that things just started happening bad, uncharacteristic for Pacelli. That's why it was 37-0, because no way is Bullock 37 points better than Pacelli. And Bullock has not played anyone like Brookstone has between FPD, Tatnall, that beating Tatnall, also who was in the semifinals, Richard, by the way, Stratford twice, Valwood, Westfield. I mean, they have had an incredible schedule playing all the top teams from 3A and 4A. I think this team is experienced. I think this team knows what it takes to get there, and they're on a mission. They were close last year as state runner-up. They want to win it all this year. I think the Cougars and Coach Gillespie win this game, and I don't think it's going to be close as many people think, and I don't think this is an upset. I know you see the undefeated. If you go by strength of schedule, it's not even close. Brookstone way over Bullock Academy in those terms. Give me the Cougars. Broughton Branch, 2 touchdowns. Dylan Terry, give me a couple touchdowns. They win this 35-21, 35-27.
Yeah, I got Brookstone winning. It's not an upset, but Brookstone gets the road victory over Bullock Academy as they did that last year as the number 7 seed. Now they're coming in as the number 3 seed, and they're able to get the job done because Broughton Branch is a very special quarterback. It really doesn't matter who the quarterback is when it comes to Rance Gillespie's system. He had Andrew Alford. He had Brooks Roney. Now he's got Broughton Branch, Mercer Hudson, Dylan Terry. I mean, they got playmakers on both sides of the ball. And I think that Brookstone wins the game and makes it back to the 4A state championship in Statesboro.
Yeah, so give us Brookstone, which we would love because we're going to be live from the GIAA.TV. We'll be calling games, and we love nothing more than having Brookstone Cougars up there trying to win a state championship. All right, let's go to Alabama now, Richard. And Russell County, they are going to take on undefeated Spain Park. You're talking about the story of the year. There's a couple of them. Glenwood, but Glenwood's out now. But them being undefeated in their first year in the AHSAA, Hardaway, 4-game improvement over what they went through last year. But really, it has to be Russell County. Bryson Riggins, they just took Northridge to the woodshed. They are different compared to how Brookstone, Harris County, and Shaw need to win games. They can win games in high scoring. This high-flying offense is putting over 40 points a game. Now, Spain Park, Richard, they're undefeated for a reason. This is one of the top teams in 6A, and along with Saraland and Clay Chalkfield, this is a team that easily could win a championship. But I like Russell County, Richard, and I like Bryson Riggins. I'm not getting my pick yet. I'm going to let you kind of preview. What does Russell County need to do to pull off the upset against a really good Spain Park undefeated team, Richard?
They cannot make any mistakes. If they get into a shootout, Bryson Riggins is just going to have to match Spain Park score for score. If it's going to take 40 points to win this game, Russell County is capable of putting up 40 points. If they get a lead, they just need to run the football with Devin Brown, not make the big mistake. Maybe the defense just gets one stop. That might be all it takes, is for the defense just to get one big stop. I see a bend don't break defense. I see them not making any mistakes. I think this is going to be a shootout. But Spain Park is undefeated for a reason. I don't know. I mean, this is really a lot to ask for a Russell County team that's in the second round of the playoffs for the first time since 1998. I mean, they have never been here before in a very long time. And I know that the Russell County fan base is just happy they won a playoff game last week and that they're in the second round. But who knows? I think that they could pull off the upset. But Spain Park, like you mentioned, very talented team that could win a state championship in 6A.
And they have a win over at Hoover, which is better than any win Russell County. I mean, going to at Hoover, 7A school, and winning that 39-37, it's going to be tough. Even if they do lose, finishing 9-3, setting records with the offense they put up this year. And by the way, they return a lot of their offensive production, including Bryson Riggins, who is he's got to be the offensive player of the year in the Tri-City area, what he was able to accomplish this year. Absolutely. I'm going to take Spain Park. I think they're going to be close in that first half. I wouldn't be even surprised if Russell County leads in the first half. But in the second half, I think they're just going to wear them down. And I'm going to take Spain Park with the win. You know what? Scratch that. Give me the Warriors. I'm going with the upset, Richard. Even if they do lose this game by 30, I'm picking the Warriors. My heart says Warriors. My head obviously says Spain Park. I'm taking Russell County. Where are you going, Rich, so we can move on?
Well, if Russell County does win, let's say I do pick Spain Park, and if Russell County wins, I will not live that down. I mean, how can the public address announcer in 2021 pick against Russell County? It's a risk. It's a risk, but I mean, my heart's saying Russell County. I'm going to pick Russell County. I know that I'm saying this just because I just got a feeling that they could win this game, and I'll not hear the last of it if I end up picking Spain Park in this game.
And if they do win this game, they could beat almost anybody that's left, and they have just as good a chance as anyone else at winning a championship. All right, moving on, Richard, let's talk about a few of the other games. Vestavia Hills and Central. I don't think this game's close. It's at Central. Central had it made where they were not going to host a playoff game, and somehow, some way, Vestavia Hills beat an overrated Mary Montgomery team, and that makes me think Central would have dominated them if they even played them. I think they win this by 3 touchdowns. I don't think it's close, and I think Central is on a collision path to play Opelika, Auburn, one of those teams here in the near future.
Yeah, I've got Central big at Garrett Harrison Stadium. I mean, you talk about high school football in our area. We got Carver at Otis Spencer. We got Central at Garrett Harrison. I mean, that's pretty much it. Everybody else is on the road. Well, if you want to count Auburn, and that's actually the next game, I do have a graphic for that. And that I know we kind of cover Auburn, but they're not part of the 16 schools that we cover.
We'll add those 2 games. I know you want to talk Auburn, Opelika. Throw them up real quickly before we get out of here. Auburn and Thompson. This is you said it over and over again. This is a rematch of the 2020-2022 state championship in which Thompson won both of them. Thompson's 3 losses are, you said, Richard, earlier on the Georgia Alabama Sports Live show, by 1 point each loss. But I think Keith Etheridge, this is his best team since he's been in Auburn. I think this is going to be a very entertaining game. I would love nothing more than if we had the opportunity to call this game. Give me Auburn over Thompson. And I think Auburn, Opelika, Central. I don't know about Enterprise, but Auburn, Opelika, Central. I think they all move on to the next round. Give me your pick on Auburn, Thompson, before we talk about this last game.
It is hard to pick against Thompson, especially since we know that
and
they
then
win.
Have them out of this. They made the state last year, Richard, and have them out by the second round. That's got to be tough. But Auburn's great, man.
Yeah, Auburn has one of the best running backs in Alabama, Omar Mabson. By the way, a big shout out to Jacob Goins. He is the voice of the Auburn Tigers. We've known him because he was the voice of Lee Scott. I know that's got to be exciting that he gets to call this game. And yeah, good luck. I know that's going to be on the NFHS network, and Jacob Goins is going to do a fantastic job. This is really the game of all the playoff games. It definitely in the state of Alabama. I do have Auburn. I think that Jackson Kilgore, good, efficient quarterback under Coach Etheridge's system. Omar Mabson. I got a feeling that Thompson, they find ways to win games because they have that championship pedigree. And Trent Seaburn, remember, he led them to a state title as an 8th grader. Now he's a sophomore. I'm just saying that Thompson is Thompson for a reason.
Yeah, and it's going to be a great game for sure, Richard. Last one, and everybody knows the stories, okay? And everybody knows what is happening with Opelika as their coach, Richard, who just is suspended for this game and Brian Moore in his first year, who's done a great job taking a 4-6 program, who moved up to the 7A and is 9-2 and came second in a region that had Central, Auburn, Opelika, Enterprise, and Carver, Montgomery. He actually went last week to watch Hoover in their Thursday night game against Fairhope, in which they won, and was illegally on the sidelines with a student credential, and they have him suspended for this game. Actually, against this game. So they're going to be without their head coach. That makes me think. And then Opelika also on the road, and it's at Hoover. But I'm telling you, I've seen crazy things happen. I just have a feeling somehow Opelika is going to pull out this victory. I may be wrong on that. Okay, and Hoover probably end up going to win this game and move on to the next round. but I would not be surprised. I'm going to pick Opelika because I like Van Riggs and I like the Opelika Bulldogs. But, man, this has got to be a bad light on what has been a great year for Brian Moore and the Opelika Bulldogs to come up short against Hoover. I mean, to come and not have their head coach in this second round is going to be tough. I'm going to pick Opelika because I'm picking with my heart, but obviously my head's telling me Hoover's probably going to win this by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, big shout out to Van Riggs. I like giving these play-by-play announcers shout-outs. Van Riggs is the voice of the Opelika Bulldogs. I think this would be a tough matchup for Opelika, even if they had their coach, because they're having to play Hoover on the road. I've been following Opelika since 2021 when they were in 6A. That was the last time they made the playoffs. A great turnaround from 4-6 to 9-2 to make the playoffs in 7A. Jamari Miller, a very talented wide receiver, but I think it's the defense that's going to have to stop Hoover, which is one of those teams that seems like Hoover is always in at least the semifinals in 7A. I think that Hoover ends up winning this. I'm cheering for Opelika. I want to see Opelika win this game, but I think it's just too much. I think having your coach suspended could be just that deciding factor that could cost Opelika this game.
And I didn't understand, if you're Brian Moore, why take the risk of doing something like this other than it had either been an honest mistake or he didn't. I'm not going to say he didn't care, but it's how blatant it was out in the open to see him on the sideline with the credential. I mean, there was no doubt he was going to get reported for it. So just not a great look, and I really cannot believe that this happened. But still doesn't take away from what the incredible job he's done in year one being the head coach of the Opelika Bulldogs. All right, everyone, enjoy your high school playoff Friday. Make sure you cheer for all the local teams. And then tonight, 11 o'clock, we got the GIAA. We don't talk GHSA or Alabama Public School. GIAA scoreboard show. And then on Sunday, we'll have a recap of the games. Check our Facebook page. We'll put a graphic up of all the games that happened. Richard does a great job putting out the score so you can see that. We even try to get it up tonight if we can, but usually it's tough because we don't ever get the scores in until later on. But we're going to try to get you that, and then we'll talk about it on Sunday. Thank y'all so much for watching, and we'll see you next time on the Georgia-Alabama Sports Live High School Game Day. Thank you for watching the Georgia-Alabama Sports Live Show presented by Glenn Smith Chevrolet and GMC. You're ready to smile.